So now you've made a CD. You've got it ready to use, and you take those files and burn them. Now, I know I told you not to burn things and try and sell them, but that's not the same as what we're talking about now, because you're going to need a physical disk to send it to the duplicator. This isn't what you're going to send to your customers, it's what you're going to send to your duplicator. So we're going to look at a couple of things. Now we're going to make a menu in Camtasia, and this is a menu that's been made in Camtasia for an AVI, the thing we ran through that I said gives you the best. You'll get these files, and then you take your CD burner, whatever software you use, and you drag all three of them onto that, and in exactly this fashion. You don't open things up and try to do these files that are in here one at a time. You just pull that folder in, and the auto run file and the executable. If you were doing a menu with FLVs, it would look more like this when you dragged it into your CD burner. You'd have a lot of individual files and some script and HTML page that controls it, and you would burn all that. Plus, you would also probably want to use an auto-int file that you wrote yourself and a program called StartExe. Now, I will upload those to the Web Seller Circle download library so that if you burn these kind of CDs, you can make your own auto start menus. But right now, let's not get too tangled up in that. Let's go back to Camtasia. You go to Tools and you go to Menu Maker. And you'll have a choice of New Project Wizard or Make It Yourself, Open Old Projects. If you have made projects in the past and you love the way they turned out and want to keep the same color schemes or something, you can open a recent project and use it as a template so that you can change the files and you change the names of the items, but you don't have to redesign it from scratch. Today, we're not going to look at a template. We're going to start from scratch. I'm going to walk you through this kind of quickly. You create a new project. You say, okay. It loads a bunch of templates which have pictures for backgrounds and other things like that. I recommend that you start with a blank template. Make this your own. Click Next. Add the files you're going to put in your CD. I'm going to just put in an AVI. That's a movie file, right? And this is the great thing about the Camtasia Studio Menu Maker, is you can put in pictures, PDFs, anything you want. So I'm also going to add an ebook. So you might have a lot more files in this, but we're just going to do this quickly. You can move this one down because you don't want that ebook to be the first thing everybody sees. When you're ready, you go to Next, you give the menu a title, and you click Finish. Now this is not the best looking menu in the universe. You wouldn't want to send this out. You come to Edit Properties and you can do a lot of things. One thing you really want to do is put in a background image. The default is 640 by 480 and it needs to be a JPEG, a GIF, or a bitmap. Then I use a menu card more like this. As you see, it's just a patterned background. Now this is looking a little better, but it's still very uninformative. You want to go through here and make some changes. Layout, center, background color, automatic. Doesn't really matter. You've made the picture to size, so it's going to take it all. If you want to have a special cursor file or make mouse click sounds, you can do it. Here's where you change these colors to something better. Now on this background, black doesn't going to show very well, so I would change that to white. The visited color, change it to that one. And the highlighted color, let's make gray. Now watch here, when I click apply, these are going to go white. You're going to have to believe me for a minute that they'll also change colors. The background frame is this light blue thing. You change its color to automatic. You move it all the way to transparent. The frame style where it says bump, it's this thing looks a little bit like a rope around here. You change that to none and apply. And we're starting to look a little bit better. And then content. Here are the files we put in, but here are the names that show up on the menu. So perhaps you want to change their names to something a little more interesting. And we click apply. And again, you can come up here and change the sizes. You can make them bold. You can change the font. Now cut this off because we had a small box. So I'm just going to say OK. Come out, click in here, and you get the old drag handles. You just make it bigger until it fits. Once you've gotten everything the way you want it, before you actually burn your menu, you test it. This thing that looks to me like a light switch, I don't know what it's supposed to be. You click it, and this will let you have the menu in your computer memory without actually burning it to disk. Now, remember we changed those colors? When you mouse over, they change. When you actually click, it should play the movie. So that worked. And then this is a PDF. And now you see the one we've played is a different color than the one that hasn't played. When we click on this, it should open and play in Adobe Acrobat. So you can give bonus PDFs or ebooks, or you can distribute just ebooks on CD with this menu maker in Camtasia. When you're ready, you click Create Menu and just walk through the prompts. It's going to burn everything to your disk and put it all in a folder that will look like this. Then you burn that to disk. When your customer puts it in their player, they'll get a menu that looks something like this, depending on how much time you take putting it together. And you can see they have colors that match the book itself and the font. And I want you to look at how clean and how easy it is to read this type. This is why I'm recommending AVIs to you. This isn't a very big screen. This is, I believe this is 640 by 480. But look at how easy it is to read that. It's just as though you were sitting at your computer. I'm going to show you a similar thing on the FLV menu that's created with the thing called Camtasia Theater. This is an FLV menu. What happens is you get a menu on the side. That's cool, but let's move this ahead a little bit. Grab it and pull it ahead. Notice it's not nearly as crisp or as easy to read. This type is a little bit smaller, but even when you look at something like Dashboard compared to those letters, you can see the difference in quality is quite noticeable. You may have occasion to use both of those menu makers. I would recommend, if you have a choice, that you go with the AVI. Let's look at Photoshop and making the web-ready templates that you're going to use. This is what they're going to look like. It's all one piece, the front cover, the back cover, and the spine all together. Kanaki gives you the dimensions they want. CreateSpace gives you the dimensions they want, and then it's up to you to create it. They don't give you any other help. I will upload this Photoshop PSD file that you can use as a template, create and change your own stuff to match, but you won't have to worry about the front, the back, and the spine. They'll be in alignment. I'm not going to really get into a Photoshop demo tonight, but each picture here is its own picture. You can change it. Same with the spine. All of this is already laid out, so all you'll have to do is put in your own information. Why is that cool? Because then when you have another project come along, you just change the info. You don't have to start from scratch every time. Again, we have individual pictures, headlines. It just saves you a lot of time. Once you've made this, you want to keep this as a JPEG. You save it as a JPEG for Kanaki, but you're also going to want to cut the cover into 3 pieces. You'll want back cover, front cover, and the spine, all made individually. Save those as JPEGs as well. This is how your disk is going to look. It's never round, it's always square. Again, I'll put this up for you to use as a template. This is all in proportion so it fits properly. This is where you're going to have that round hole in the middle of a CD, and your CD will be round around here, so you can't go too far out back. Save that as a JPEG as well. Why did we cut it into spaces? to make box shots. This is Quick 3D Cover, which is box shot software. And this one is just a series of templates. If you scroll through, you'll see you have boxes in different perspectives and views, fat, thin, tops up, tops down. Lot of boxes, open boxes, closed boxes. Then you start getting into boxes with discs by themselves, 2 discs, CD jewel case with disc. You can see how this might come in handy if you're selling CDs and DVDs. Well, what you do is you pick the picture you like, and you look down here and you see that little check mark. That means that's for the front cover. You click here, you find your JPEG that we cut, and it makes it fit to this. These things are already all in proportion. Then you look for the disc, same thing, click the disc. Once you load them, you can change some of the shading and the reflections and the shadows and move things around, make them a transparent background. Here's a transparent background. See how it all goes checker box. Large print disc area, or take that off, and it has that really big, depends on how your discs are going to look. And then you just come up to here and you save, pick, and burn it. You get a box shot. I'm not going to do that right now, but I do want to show you that once you start loading your pictures, and you may want to show something different, you decide you need to show the back and the spine, you can put everything up at once. You don't have to go back and keep redoing it. It'll just keep it all up here. And you can change the way your disc looks. Now these are going to be a little out of proportion, but you can also make books with this software if you're selling ebooks. Reports, books laying down, books with CDs. This software is really, you've probably seen a lot of this lately on the web. This is the new look for ebooks with the fluffy paged out look. They've got spiral bound. If you're teaching something and it's all going to be on a monitor, they have various monitors that you can make it a little more modern there. Presenting at the local community center. Maybe you're making iPhone apps. If you have your picture in proportion, you can show how it would look on an iPhone, on an iPod, binders, clipboards, all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's very little that you can imagine doing that they don't have a template for. A lot of people sell stuff now on USB keys, so you can make a thing that shows that. Here it is on a compact flash card. You have just a wealth of possibilities with box shot software. And again, you make the initial thing in Photoshop. You have a one-piece thing for Kanaki. Then you cut the large design into the individual pieces for your box shot software. Kanaki is a disc duplicator, and this is the last thing I'm going to talk about tonight. Kanaki is at kunaki.com. Like POD is for books, print on demand, these guys are duplicators on demand. You used to have to get at least 1,000 discs to have any kind of useful pricing on disc duplication. Kanaki makes retail-ready discs in quantities from 1 to several thousand. But if you get under 10 discs, they're only charging $1 per disc, which is just amazing. That includes the manufacturing, the full-color DVD case, the full-color DVD silk screen on the disc, a one-panel insert, the case cover, the cellophane wrap, the barcode, and the thing is always made overnight. Includes what they call rush processing. So that's for less than 10 discs. More than 10 discs, their pricing literally changes by the hour. They're trying to find a way to balance the load at their factory. So when it's busier, they charge more. When it's not as busy, they charge less to try to get the load evened out. The thing to do is go here to prices and look, and you'll see what they're charging is somewhere going to be somewhere between 75 cents and 175. Right now it's 175 for more than 10 discs. That makes no sense until you realize that the disc price is always going to include shipping and handling. So $1 per disc can still come out to be more expensive than $1.75 per disc if you're ordering quantities more than 25, because the shipping and handling will be less than it will be for $1 per disc. That's just the beginning of weirdness at Konaki. I'm going to walk you quickly through how you get your disc up to them. No matter how long you've been a customer, go to New Customer. You can save this process on your machine, but it'll be done after you've run it once. It'll save it, but I always just start fresh anyway. So go to New Customer, and then come down here where it says click here to start. Run it. Everything that happens on Konaki happens by going to this green Next button. You of course want to read this, but we're not going to read it tonight. Your product type is almost always going to be data. If you're making audio, that means like a CD with music. Video means a DVD with a camcorder. I have no idea how you do video games, so I'm not even going to guess. Data is Camtasia. Add a barcode? Absolutely. If you're going to sell this on Amazon, a barcode is mandatory. It doesn't change the cost. You get a barcode for $1. Go with it. Put in your title. Only things in bold need to be filled in. I usually fill in the copyright message and other stuff as well, but it's not crucial. Click Next. Now, here's where the Konaki magic starts. Go to Custom Design. Pick whether you're doing a CD or a DVD. Usually, if you're doing Camtasia, it's going to be a CD. That doesn't mean you have to put it in a jewel case. You can put it in an Amray case, which is one of these jobbers that DVDs come in. I would suggest you do that because when you ship CD cases, they tend to get broken. In the mail, the cover gets cracked, the disc comes loose, you get a lot of unhappy customers and returns. The DVD case protects it much better, plus you look a lot more sophisticated and professional if you use an Amray case, so go ahead and do it. Click Browse. Disc print means the disc itself. So you pick that picture you made of the disc, that square picture. You can't see it because this case is closed. Click Open Case, and that's what your disc is going to look like inside of the Konaki CD. And that'll give you a last chance to make sure that actually you're not cutting off anything essential. You didn't make this too high, so the L got chopped or something like that. Then you go to Case Cover, and remember I talked about how we do it all in one big piece. This is why. It's what's called a wrap cover. Here's the front. If we wrote case, there's the back. Here's the UPC code. Here's the spine, so you can make sure it's lined up, which is not an easy thing to do. So that's why I'm going to upload that template for you. And there it is, open. Case insert, I didn't talk about. They're very easy to make. It's just a certain size card that you put in. It's very easy. You don't need a template. I always make a case insert that shows our other products and has a little bit of talk about how to actually play the CD or the DVD. This gives you a chance to do some upselling. Tell people where you are, how to buy it, and put in other products that are related to what you're selling, so maybe you can sell some more. Once you've done all of that, you just click Next. You put your CD, the one we burned back a couple screens ago, you put it in your drive. It will show you the contents of your disk down here. Then you click Next, and it will ask you to save it. You notice they don't care that I don't have a disk in here. This is what I mean about no customer service. Save as. And you think you would type in here, right? You don't. You click Save As, and you find a place where you're going to put it. You give it a name and click Save. Kanaki still hasn't twigged to the fact that there is no disk. You click Next, and they're going to start compiling it. Now, there's nothing to compile, so finally they're going to tell us that we actually would do a better job if we had a disk. But they'll compile it, and then they'll tell you that it's done, and ask you to log in, create an account if you don't have one. If you have a username, you just do it, and they will take that file that they've burned, which is an ISO image. That's what happens during the compiling process. It's saved on your computer, and they will upload it to their processing facility, keeping the artwork and the file together. They will turn that into a DVD overnight, or a CD overnight, and ship it out the next day. Their shipping prices are pretty reasonable. They're flat rate. If you live in Connecticut, you're going to get the CD probably within a day or two, but you're going to pay the same price as I do living in Seattle to get it shipped to me. So their shipping is flat rate. Everything includes a $3 handling charge for your first disc. If you want to get one disc and next day you want to get another disc shipped directly to your customer, each time you do that, there's a $3 handling fee. It's usually cheaper to just order 10 or 15 discs, have them shipped to you and ship them out yourself, or to have them sent directly to Amazon and let Amazon deal with it if that's the way you're going to go. So that's a really quick introduction to Kanaki. That is the steps that you go through to record your presentation, edit it, render it, make a menu for playing the disc, burn the CD, make the artwork for the CD, make the box shot from the artwork, then go to Kanaki or somewhere similar, upload your artwork and your disc with the menu maker and everything, and you're good to go. You'll have the disc in your hands probably 7 to 10 days depending on UPS's mood, and you can start to sell them. You're actually paying with shipping and handling probably somewhere between $2 and $2.50 per disc. But don't let that make you think that you should sell it for $5 and you'll be doubling your profit. Remember, Amazon is going to take anywhere from 40 to 60% of your retail price. So you want to be in the same league as other people making the same kind of discs, and that usually means about $19.95 to $35.95. You'll make about $10 to $15 with those prices per disc, which, considering how much work you're putting in here, you're doing 10-15 hours work to get this disc made, making $10 per disc is not a real huge amount of profit unless you sell an awful lot of discs. So try to look at pricing in your niche and match it. Kanaki will let you do that. CreateSpace, it's going to be a little harder to match the pricing because they're going to charge you more, like $5 a disc, but you'll get a cheaper Amazon discount. So depending on how many discs you realistically expect to sell, CreateSpace can also be quite competitive. That's all I have tonight. I want to thank everyone who's joined us for this series. It's been a lot of fun for Cindy and I to go through it. We've really enjoyed doing this series. It came about because a couple people requested something similar. If there's any other series you'd like to see, if you'd like to know perhaps more about Camtasia, a little more of a Camtasia masterclass than we've been able to cover here, or about video editing, all we did in this series was look at a picture of the Sony Movie Studio box. We never even looked at the software. But if you'd like to know how that kind of editing works, if you'd like to know anything about Photoshop or taking pictures, if you'd like Cindy to do a class on stock photography and selling your photographs, if you'd like to know more about how to book venues or find people to let you teach to them, any of that kind of stuff, please just ask for it on the boards, send us an email. We're all trying to make these classes as relevant to you and your interests as we can. So again, for me and for Cindy, thank you all for participating in the Web Seller Circle, and thanks for coming to the class tonight. Hope to talk to you soon on the discussion boards. This is Danny for the Web Seller Circle and for Cindy. Good night.